Hello and welcome to another gameplay review on the Virkayu gameplay channel. And in this one we have Kindred, not in the best state right now, although marksman items are being picked up by almost everybody it seems, specifically Gale Force. However, Kindred is still struggling to find a niche role even in the jungle. It's just not meta, not really off meta, just kind of perpetually exists. Similar to things like Volibear, which have still struggled to find core itemization and meaning in the new season. So 9 ping Gragas body slam is good, but the first blood is collected. Now, for Kindred to succeed, and this has always been true, you need to take over a game. You need to snowball. You need to basically dictate every action on the map. You are the focus, you draw all the attention, and you must have that objective control and lane state recognition really at the forefront of your mind. So we're going to look at a lot of how that plays out in this game. We have T1 Kaz, we have to use Challenger Career because I tried to find other gameplays with Kindred in high elo to look at, and no, they didn't go very well. So that shows you the struggle Kindred is having in terms of finding a core mythic item, in terms of finding a core build, and while you can go Kraken Slaying Gale Force, I think those are the two things you really need to look at. Runes will pop up on screen now, just your standard precision tree with PTA, a little bit of Ravenous Hydra because of Ravenous Hunter because of the Omni Vamp. We're not building Hydra this game. That's, you know, forest thing. The Bloodline is unique instead of Alacrity, but that's because Kaz's preference here is to go for the Kraken Slayer. The passive attack speed is huge on all your legendary items, synergizes very well with Kindred, and when you have Bloodline plus a lot of attack speed, plus Ravenous Hunter, as I said, your healing is pretty decent. So, overall, a nice start from the invade to get first blood does give the longsword. I want to tell you it doesn't impact the way the game goes, but it does impact your first clear. It makes it easier and allows you to have a less margin for error on your early clear in terms of health and the fact that you can actually do full clear with it. So, in this case, you're against a Graves. Now, Graves seems to be eternal. The nerfs coming through with the 2 AD. Now, everyone's talking about the 2 AD. Yes, it's 2 AD, but it's 2 AD that affects every auto attack, every time you use your spells, and it will affect your clears to a decent degree because that's 3% of what it used to be. So 3% nerf, if you think of it that way, maybe a bit more palpable, a bit more understanding about the impact that it can have on his game. So Kindred will be up against a Korean Graves, which, you know, even with the nerfs will still do work if you let them. Blue side into Raptors, should go straight into red here, kites out nicely. Pull out the red buff, this is great because you never know if Graves is gonna do a sneaky. And we don't like the sneaky. So you can pull it out up, or you can simply drag it into the bush. If you drag it into the bush though, the smoke screen comes through, you're stuck in an AoE for Graves' Q. And Kindred historically was always good into Graves. If Graves beats Kindred, usually it's because he's overly strong. So here it kites out for the W, maintaining distance, don't want to tank any extra damage. And I think at this point, the fact that Graves hasn't shown means that he's most likely, oh there you go, 2 for 1 special. Means that he's most likely not invading at this point. So Kindred can rest easy, pull it up, drag it out. Gonna use your smite auto, which is a little risky, because if you did decide to cheese, you'd lose it. So auto smite is probably the better order, so that they hit at the same time. To Krugs, a full clear. Very, very simple. Now, even though you had a good invade, right? As I said, the goal is to take over. You see on the minimap there? Nice little smoke screen. Not that smoke screen. Smoke from the sky is blue. Graves is in the area. Lane Prio assessment. This is gankable. But if you're against a Fiddle or Karthus sequencing down, and you know they're going to look to do this and this, perhaps counter jungle tier 2 Grump, then I would gank this, right? This is an absolute free gank with the Gragas. Nice. Rumble can play this way because he knows straight up Graves is in the area. And of course we have a Galio, which will be great for rotations. But Zilean should be able to shove this. I mean, you've got this pushing in now, but Zilean's going to make sure it goes the other direction. Because you want lane prior for the... Graves. So Kindred here assesses right. That worked out better than I thought. So, ideally, the Rumbles should, you know, in high elo career be aware that the Kindred got a longsword early. The mark is still on the Graves, right? So, this This is great by the Gragas. Let's give the Gragas credit for this, because he just says, you know what, I'm going in. And the Rumble now, for some reason, I understand that he was, you know, full steam mode, is just walking into death. And you know what? You don't mind taking that as Kindred. If you're a tank, don't take it. If you're Kindred, take it. This gives you prio. Now you can just leave this because the Rumble most likely just going to TP. He's going to TP back. Let the top laners exist on their Cayman Island. Go down here to take this if it's available, but the Graves has snuck it. Now, in this situation, a lot of people in lower mid-elos, even Diamond 1, Diamond 2, you didn't track or count the CS. You run into MC24. It's 99% impossible the Graves did red side into 2 camps blue side, into Scuttle, down to the double Scuttle. Because that's what you want. You want to deny those early marks to Kindred. The markers on the Graves as well, trying to avoid the fights. So what will happen is they will just invade here looking for camps that don't exist. Waste of time. No. Straight back to base. You can see here we've got the Zillion positioning for the Graves. Okay. All he does is he shadows a little bit, waits for the enemy wave to get obliterated by time, and then moves to the bottom side. In terms of bottom lane, the blue team also prior. This is perfect for Graves. This is how Dumb One won Worlds. You basically give Canyon Graves or Nidalee, get lane prio, and just use it to starve the enemy jungler to the point that he wishes he didn't exist. Okay, so let's just jump back here because we're talking about the Graves a lot, but it's important to understand that from the Kindred's perspective. They take this from the Graves, okay? I don't necessarily like that. Right? Don't do that to your jungler, guys. Because this gives him huge control. He can spend the time taking this and then move on up to the tier 2 to the tier 2 Grump, the second Grump spawn. And that's why Kindred's recall here was so important. Make sure you do a full clear with your extra longsword, get the opportunistic gank on the top side. If the enemy jungler sequence down, absolute free crab. And then, because the enemy jungler started blue side going down, like say a Fiddle or a Karthus, at 4 minutes you're going to have this Grump spawning, and you can take that also, and then repeat gank top lane. So keep that in mind. The Cuz's decision making was based on the fact that Graves started bottom side, sequenced up, as opposed to starting blue side, sequencing down. Because the Kindred saw this taken, immediately resets, goes down, and wants to defend the tier 2 Grump. Because as soon as you know, here we go, right? As soon as you know this guy's going cross, alright, you know he's going to counter jungle you, especially in Challenger. They know at 4 or 5, 4 minutes, they're on that Grump. So direct rotation, cuts him off, and now, this is where things get very important for Kindred players. All of this is like a long-form introduction into how you need to use Kindred in this meta. Junglers like Kindred as well. Don't take this, okay? Are you close to level 5? No. Does Grump give you level 5? No. Did Graves go back to base yet? Did bottom lane go back to base yet? Likewise, no. Kindred, on the other hand, has Noon Quiver. All these names are so difficult to say in a sentence. I think if you strangle the new names in a row and try to say them without one flaw, that's a good challenge. Also a drinking game, maybe. So Noon Quiver is nice because of the bonus damage to minions and monsters. Good for clearing, and of course, 30 attack damage, 15% attack speed. Right. Where is Graves? Where do you guys think Graves is right now? He must be, yeah, he must be. There's nowhere else for him to be. Because, did you hear the smite? Because he double crabbed, tried to counter jungle, this is a good wall by the way, by the Graves, tried to counter jungle tier 2 Grump and Wolves, but the Kindred cut him off directly. So, I mean, you have to expect that as well as Graves. You're against Kaz. Yeah. So he's going to try and take these, right? This tier 1 and this tier 2 before resetting most likely. But the Kaz knows this. So Kaz immediately just moves in and says, you know what? I'm going to force the issue. And with Kindred, you must do this. You have the itemization lead. Huge spike over 3 of their members. Fighting this for the blue team would be doom. It's okay to miss your cue, guys. Now, bottom lane isn't really in a position to rotate here. Tristana's just going to whack these the plates. They're really low. Kindred now has decisions to make. Normally, if everyone backs off and your bottom lane's a base and their bottom lane's in base, we can just go steal his Raptors and look to gank mid lane. However, they're really forcing the issue here, and I don't know why blue team is being baited into this. But as Kindred, you want to hover now. You, again, while we have this huge advantage, here we go, here we go, here we go, and coup de grace. I mean, I know you guys like last stand and stuff, but nice flash Q. Kills the Samira as well. Brilliant. Excellent patience. 4-0. And now you've got a wave crashing here, so you can stay and take this. Important note about Kindred's kit. The Shaka bait and switch. Very nice. Just activate your W here. It will attack the enemy, and the only enemy here is Thresh. So, you don't even have to do anything. The Tristana just zones him back into the W. Kindred gets the kill. Beautifully done. So nice when everything works out. Now, a lot of Kindreds will say Kindred sucks, and then you beeline for the Raptor camp. Graves just respawned and bought a pickaxe. Okay? If he decides to go for this, your whole team is bottom lane and hasn't reset. Thresh and Samira will be respawning or have respawned already. So if you go for this, as we can see, you will die. It's not worth dying over. You have to just jungle, and basically the Kindred thing has to come as a natural flow, within the natural flow of jungling, right? The marks and the way you scale. But this is good as well. We've got Noon Quiver, we've got a Smite charge up. We know Graves is going to be very greedy and say, I'm going to get those Raptors. So, straight to the Dragon. Dun 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 dun, smite it. Thank you very much. Now, here you've got a few choices. Tier 2 Grump, Tier 2 Wolves, full Tier 2 clear up here. You've got the Gragas killing a control ward. But, did you notice? I hope you noticed. While we were on the Dragon, where is Graves? Here. Alright? If we take away the Fog of War, he took the Raptor camp. Okay? Now, from Kindred's perspective, what do we see? Graves mid lane, Graves pathing. You can just look at the minimap. I don't have to click on it. If you feel really concerned about making sure you get the smite, or your fingers are this big, make sure you click on the map and say, okay, the dude's going up. Or just simply look on your map and say, yeah, the dude's going up. And because you're on the Dragon here, if you fall back to your Grump and to your Wolves, you're gonna willingly give up Tier 2 Grump, Tier 2 Raptors and Tier 2 Krugs on the top side. Okay, because we did a full clear earlier. So that's a lot of experience to juice into the veins of the Graves, who I don't really think deserves it because he's playing Graves, because he's a degen. So shadow across directly with the prior you have from the Galio and collapse. Okay? You can see the Raptor falls back there. He's actually trying to steal camps. This is very greedy from the Graves. And the spotting from that, and the map read from that, and the collapse from everyone is what makes high elo, and low elo, low elo. Alright? Most junglers would not see this action. The Galio taunt comes through. He gets knocked into the air. Kindred says, good night. Okay. Gragas kills. Oh, I suppose he deserves it because of the early kill. Kindred has marked Rumble. All of this has changed the nature of the game, and this is what we talk about very heavily when we say taking over. Controlling the direction of the game. Move on down. You've got a random RNG crab giving you that mark. That's great. Thank you very much. Kindred didn't greed for marks. Kindred just jungled. Okay? And when you use your range advantage as Kindred, that's when you take over. Now, you could foresee a universe where the Graves resets into this. Unlikely, though. Most likely gonna look for this. So what we do is we reset. We get a lot of gold now. Oopsie, we lost connection. Kindred, wait! Okay. We got our Cloak of Agility and Pickaxe, alright? Graves takes this. It gets pinged out as well, as I said. You want that tier 2, want that second red. You want the next spawn of the Krugs. Kindred knows this, is watching the map. Galio knows this, is watching the map. You take your blue. You take your Grump. The mark spawn to the Raptor Pit, no problem. Hop over the wall to finish the Grump. And now you go straight to bottom lane. This lane disrespected you earlier, overstayed, and fought you when you had a Noon Quiver and they had nothing. You're level 6, they're level 5. That means let's use this advantage of level to kill them again, especially knowing that Graves is most likely in the area as well. And if he isn't, he's sequencing up to this. Boom. Alright? Easy tracking. If you're in this elo, that better be easy tracking. The only alternative could have been if there was like a deep ward here, then they saw you coming and then they set up a counter trap, but that's why we hit the plant, that's why we scan, and also that's why we pay attention to lane states. So you see, hey, bottom lane and mid lane haven't had prior for 5 minutes. There's no ways they got this ward down. Which means, ult is up. Thresh decides to... Can you stick to the target? Thank you very much. The wave is crashing here, and now look at this, look at this, look at this. Uh-oh, I better move. Global ultimate, semi-global. Zillion says, uh-oh, I better move. Great ward by the Galio. Okay? Graves says, oh no, I better move. And this is the thing, when everyone plays for the map, not just for lane, not just for jungle. Jungles, I know, you play for jungle early, great. But you have to play for the map, alright? Let's see. Let's observe. Right, W again, used for max range. Thresh decides to flash hook. The Q is used to avoid the actual hook. You kite out of tower range, you use your ultimate. Boom, executed on the Samir. Wait for the ult to finish before you do it. And now because you pull that trigger, before the Zillion gets there, that means when the Zillion does arrive, you collapse and kill him. Nice box by the Shaka, gives you a triple kill. And now Graves is alone on an island. Now, the Graves making this play, and now a lot of people are going to say, you know, why don't we just keep farming and go for the Herald? It's so clean. I had the wrong vision control. It's so clean. I love it. Good League of Legends. Good jungling, good map reads, good from everyone. You could say as Graves, okay, this is doomed. It's just doomed, I'm not even going. And then just sequence up here, take all of this, take the Herald, dive the Gragas, okay, and now use the Herald here for maximum tower takeage. However, the problem is you're behind, Kindred's ahead, that elevates the game state too soon. You don't want to be lane swapping, the Gragas can freeze, it forces Rumble to rotate. Macro things happen and you just end up screwing yourself more than helping yourself. However, should there be 2 plates here, 3 plates here, you know, and you're an early game team with mid-game spike, yeah. I mean, I can see that as a play, but you're thinking a couple moves ahead, right? Instead of just thinking, look, if I rotate to this right now, and we turn this for 4 kills in our advantage as the blue team, we are in control. However, the Kindred pulled the trigger, it's cuz, I mean, it's a pro player. This diving on bottom lane is basically in his job description. But probably literally. Either way, 802, Kraken Slayer completed, kill the baby raptor. Did you notice though, a quick point, there has not been a lot of focus on the camps, you know, defending the first grump was great, but didn't then spend time farming and taking it, went straight to bottom lane and made the itemization play, because they had it and he did not. Took the dragon and instead of saying, right, now it's time to farm, said, well, I'm being counter jungled, let's collapse, which translated to kills, to scuttle, to reset, to bottom dive again. The control by reading the flow of the map is so important. Now, red into Raptor, Zillion says, you know what, I'm gonna walk to this area for no reason and lose my flash, alright? Here's a split. You could look for this. You could. Problem is, top lane is not in the best state. Down 28 CS, mid lane is back in base. There's nothing else topside for you but an invade on the blue buff and the Gromp. You don't have the tools, you don't have the chess pieces necessary to make those plays. So what we can do is just say, fine, let's go get another mark. Alright? They say, well, it's pretty obvious what you're gonna do. Kindred says, okay, sure, alright, but Galio has his ult up. They say it's a 4v2, Kindred says, okay, I'm gonna leave. Bye. And, you know, ooh, that Rumble ult. That Rumble ult. Nice play by the Rumble. Good roam, good awareness, but there's no objective to take. So, they lose the Galio ult and his life. Kindred is able to heal and sustain on the Grump. Oh, I love that new juicy Grump. And now get back onto the map. So, in those situations, just back out. Thank you, Galio, for saving my life. Kamsahamnida, and then go about your business. Right. Any plays to make? Nope. Let's take our Grump. Let's take our Wolves. Any plays to make? Yes. Aggressive. Use your lead. You are absolutely juiced. You are way ahead of everyone. Now here, ideally, you're scanning, but if the Shaco is scanning and warding, you don't need to be concerned about that. You can easily trap. There we go, actually. As we say it. And let's go bottom lane again. You know, there's a dragon spawning. It just spawned. They are not respecting. I don't know what this vision control is. You just killed the Galio and forced Kindred to this side. You know Kindred must be healing off of these camps. You know a dragon is spawning. I don't understand the need to go top here without going directly to the Herald. The jungling for the Graves is a bit peculiar. And on that note, we're missing it. The Kindred dives bottom lane again. So this is great. You know, a lead is only as good as how much you use it. Because a lot of people will have a lead and only use it 1 or 2 times. As Kindred is just, Cuz is just using it over and over and over again. There we go. Unfortunately has to ult before the, there we go, let the heal come through before the kill goes through. But the boxes work, alright. And Tristana kills the Samira. Don't overgreed. You got the Galio. They should be able to get this. Graves is seen top lane as well, so they feel really safe. If you don't see the Graves here, you could be concerned, but you see him top lane. Let's go, baby. Resets. Nice. Zilean late to the rotation again. Kindred says, I'm out of here anyway, because I want to take this. Dragon control secured. Graves now should be on the Herald, in theory. So what Kindred can do is basically just push this, and then go and contest it. When you are fed, when you are snowballing, when you want to control everything, let's go. Unfortunately, a little late there, but... Dun 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 dun. I love Kindred E. It's so satisfying. And now out. There you go. I mean, you know, like, when you're a tank and you're fed and you're controlling the game, you can't do these things. When you're a carry, you can, and it feels so righteous. But also, this is important to note. By going Collector, lethality Kindred was already developing into a thing at the end of the season, and it's still being kind of used a little bit now. Just not full lethality, obviously, because of the mythics, but having it in the build path is just so strong. Especially as part of Collector. You can go crit, which Kindred loves to scale with also, which is much easier to buy than it was before, because we had to buy the jungle item. Lane gank here from the top lane, obviously. With this up, gold amount is at 2,000, so we got a lot of gold. Now, a lot of times you might want to reset here, but there's no objectives. Galio's bottom lane, Tristana's now mid, 2 were dead, so they're detached from the field. Shaco is roaming. We can probably look to have some kind of good action here as well. And the fact that the Rumble's giga low. Thresh rotates in at... Why would you? This very ambitious, Mr. Thresh. Very ambitious. Kindred just says, I don't care about towers, level up. Shaco kills the Rumble. Galio TP's in as well. Kinda unnecessary, but we take it. Boom. And we haven't spoken about mark tracking. We haven't spoken about mark flow. The Kindred's at 5. You know, 4's a big number we really want to get to. ADC's... I mean, I expect that. That's a counterplay. High or low, you're going to have a counterplay. Right, back to base. Collector collected. Herald activated. And some people get a little bit nervous and twitchy when this happens, which is why Herald is so good. But it's not even able to kill the tower. They get the plates, but they can't finish the tower off. Right. Team isn't on the map. Galio's top lane. No TP. No objective. Now we can farm. They set a trap here. Kindred says, I should rotate, but these camps look juicy. And it's a 3v1. So the only way you... 4v1. So I think you leave. There we go. Good discipline, Gragas. Gragas. I know there's a tower, buddy, but... There's a lot of people here. Ah! Just mechanics everywhere. Stopwatch. Ult. The E-proc into the Zilean ult as well. Tristana's just... There we go. That was nice. There you go. So, couple things. I think it's game. A couple things. So what the Gragas is doing here that's actually smart is buying time. I just wasn't sure if they were gonna actually be able to pull it off, but it was well played. Like, this is a very good ult. The rest of their team should probably just leave. You know, you sacrifice him, but just leave, because Kindred has a 2-item spike on the Gale Force of the Graves, who doesn't even have boots, right? It's a good stopwatch by the Thresh. The Zilean comes... I mean, by staying here, you have to recognize that Samira saw the Galio go back to base, and he's going to immediately rotate down with his ultimate. So I think here you just have to sacrifice the Thresh. The fact that they overstay is greatly... It's not good. It's not good. Whereas the Gragas has a nice, fat... flash body slam, which basically allows the Galio entrance. If they just sacrificed the Thresh, I think they were fine. Kindred hops the wall, you get the assist, taunt onto the Graves, dies, gets the crab, good. Tristana rotates to finish it off. This is why, in that case, if you're blue team, just take the fact that you could counter jungle and get back to your side of the map. Now Kindred can take the marks. You know, we're not really talking greatly about the mark tracking because it's all within the flow. But in this case, it's really easy now. And you can kill anyone 1v1. You're almost like an assassin, Kindred, you know? Take the Krugs. Set a trap. And if they overpush, we go in. You've got the QW, E proc. Oh, it's disgusting. Collector assists also, as well as the rune choice. Take this. And this is the final phase. Too often people get these leads and it becomes nothing. This doesn't happen. You know, this right here doesn't happen. Whereas in the meantime, they're just sequencing this. And that you'll find low diamond junglers doing this all the time. This is something that gets better the higher you go. But even then, really, challenger junglers are the epitome of, I have a lead and I will 100% use it. Careful though. We're allowed one throw. It's still a perfect game if they're allowed one throw. The thumbnail, I defend the thumbnail. Rumble ult. Straight down to the drag. I mean, takes wolves. I mean... So, okay. The reason he takes wolves here is because you want to get level 12. But I think you should take Gromp because it's got more experience. If you're gonna do that, take the Gromp. But either way, it doesn't really matter. You'll get it from the dragon, free dragon, another mark on the Krugs, deep vision control. I think this game's pretty much done, but let's look at the damage output with an extra cloak of agility. There you go. There you go. There you go. And there you go. Complete Kindred domination, ladies and gentlemen. That should be an FF soon. I don't think there's much more to talk about in this game. There you go, yeah. One more fight. So, even though Kindred got the first blood from the 5-stack defensive invade, that's nice, but you really can do the same thing without that extra longsword. It does assist in getting the Noon Quiver early, but even if you don't have the Noon Quiver from the first clear, and you lose and you get double crabbed, you can still make that read that the Grazer's going to counter jungle your tier 2 Gromp. And if he isn't, just go bottom lane anyway. Try and make these plays with your item advantage over the enemy. And then translate that to reading the map, you know? Do the dragon, that's great. Very easy for Kindred level 4. See the counter jungling collapse. Can you beat the enemy jungler 1v1? Then just take control. Force them out. Don't let them be comfortable. And that's the kind of stuff that really lets a jungler take over and snowball. And if you want to be the win condition with Kindred, that's the way you do it. I still think the Gale Force vs Kraken Slayer debate is interesting. You'll have to look at team comps and things like that. Gale Force is performing slightly better at the moment. I think the item is a little bit... I see way too much of it. The fact that I can't just kill stationary ADCs with my Ornn ult is kind of painful. Alright. That's good damage. I think... Yeah. That's it. 5-man surrender. We give up. Game is over. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that one. It's nice to see a Kindred played well and dominating a game, especially from T1 Cuz. Always like watching his VODs. Challenger game, much more tight and well played from everyone than you would normally see. So less errors to really pick out, but sometimes it's nice to have a good example rather than always a hybrid one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel as well as the main channel, and I will see you all in the next video.